They are saying the river level rose 20 foot in 30 minutes. Just as impossible, the same impossibility of 47 foot in 1 hour like in Texas. And what you're seeing right here is in New Mexico, where the horse stables are flooded and they cannot get out. And yes, the flood was both in New Mexico and in Oklahoma. Just wait till you see what I gotta show you. And just wait till I show you what Greg Abbott had to say about Texas. So you see his two charts beside me. Again, in Texas, it was 47 foot in 1 hour. How do we have the same exact flow with this one, New Mexico, 30 minutes at 20 foot? Is that not statistically impossible, the same exact flow rate and all? By the way, completely unrelated, 1000%. Check out this happy little burst that this girl was able to find. It was from just a little bit ago. I wonder what caused the radar glitch over Oklahoma. Now back to the floods, this guy comes out and he shows us how unprecedentedly strong that this water, this flow is, that it debarks trees. This was the Texas one. Let's see what Greg Abbott had to say about it. So one of the reporters had asked him, whose fault, who's to blame for this? And then what he said was, you're a loser.
The question needs to be addressed. You ask, I'm going to use your words. Who's to blame? Know this. That's the word choice of losers. Let me explain one thing about Texas.
You heard that, right? And I kid you not, the example he gave right after he said that, you can go watch it yourself, about how Texans love football. Everyone in Texas, high school, college, they all love football. Don't believe me? Go watch. The Schumann frequency glitched again when the flood started yesterday. Wait until you see what I found again, not related, concerning the floods, in Arkansas, Oklahoma, New Mexico, Chicago, Texas, and all over the world. And by the way, it's not just floods, there are revelatic signs shut up everywhere. Not related at all, signs of great frequency changes. Just behind me is Afghanistan. Oddly enough and not related, it happened at the same exact time as all the other states. So look at all these charts you see right here. What you see is that in 4 or 5 different states, we had 1 in 1,000 year floods all on the same day. Go back a day or two. You got Chapel Hill, go back a day, you got Texas again. 2 more 1,000 year floods all at the same time. Did you know that statistically impossible, that the weather today in 2025 is impossible? But did you know yesterday around the world, while the floods are going on, the floods all around the world, not just the US, did you know that there were 2 massive earthquakes in Guatemala? Not just that, did you know that in Washington there were 400 earthquakes at this mountain? Yeah, no joke, 400 earthquakes under Mount Rainier. Look at this, not just the frequency in the spectrum, but the red dot. So after my last discovery, seeing that the Texas flood started at the same exact time, we had the anomaly on the Schumann frequency that correlated with the perfect time in everything, frequency pattern that none of us who study the Schumann frequency have ever seen in our life, which I also caught for a crazy storm in North Carolina last year. Look at this black line right here where the Schumann frequency, the frequency was so insane where it could not read properly. 1000% unrelated, not relevant at all. It just happened to be the exact time of all the floods we had yesterday. Because this grid measures the frequency, the resonance of the earth. As in the days of Noah, not this Noah, am I right? You will know at some point in the future that everything is frequency and everything can be detected even way back, building these crazy structures with frequency to this. And by the way, completely unrelated, 1000%. Who was the frequency mastermind again? Tesla, right? I wonder what happened to his inventions. After all these impossibilities, the probability of our hurricane season being the worst one we've ever seen is very high. Keep that in mind when it comes time to leave. Are y'all seeing what the Austin Fire Department is saying in regards to the Kerrsville flood? It sounds very, very familiar to a situation I remember last year. And what you're seeing behind me is the 1 in 1,000 year flood that just took over North Carolina. This is the aftermath. So the Austin Fire Department is saying a lot of things on their Twitter. They're saying that they tried to send people out to Kerrsville 2 days earlier because they saw it coming. And what they're saying is they were not allowed to dispatch their people, likely costing many, many lives. 1000% unrelated, look how cool the clouds are in Texas right now today, July 8th. I'm sure if they would have been able to dispatch people on July 2nd, it would have made a world of difference. Think about people actually being there and warning of what may come and just the difference in the outcome. By the way, this is more flooding in Texas right now as we speak. And again, I remember something very similar happening last year to blocking help. And we would have not known this unless these people came forth and told us, just like last time. Over 100 lives lost. The fire chief said it was about money, but they would have been reimbursed for their dispatching and their efforts. I really feel like we're living in a bad movie at this point. Beaches all over America are randomly popping up with a deadly virus. You know how things are really insane right now? Yeah, let's add to it. Because after I show you this, I have something else to show you that's not related whatsoever. So what they're finding at these beaches and why they're not allowing people to swim is because they're finding the Vibrio bacteria all over the place. Vibrio bacteria has a 1 in 5 mortality rate if people can actually find out they have it soon enough. But it's really crazy because there's something else going around right now that has the same exact symptoms, meaning the very last thing you would even expect to have would be the Vibrio bacteria. And shout out to Alan McGraw for putting me on this Vibrio story. And also, the heightened Vibrio bacteria all over these beaches happened just in time for the July 4th weekend. How about that timing, right? So here are some of the beaches that have it right now, and I was researching this Vibrio bacteria, and it said certain things that can make it worse is excessive heat. Like, I don't know, this anomaly map I showed you a few days ago showing 44 degrees Fahrenheit, hotter than the average, where they had to make a whole new chart because it's just way too hot. And this conversation, we went over frequency. Not related at all. I want to take a trip to Alaska because it's so hot. But remember, they just had their first ever heat warning. It's really hot for some reason. Now, completely unrelated, not relevant whatsoever, Peacemakers has shared a story showing scientists found all these gallons of something waste in the ocean between the 50s and the 90s. And I showed you guys in older videos how radioactive is also spiritual and it's also frequency as well. Frequency. And as it gets so hot and the fluctuation from hot to cold is going in a different direction this year and fluctuating hotter than ever, and them already warning of how bad the hurricane season is going to be. As someone who goes to the beach, I'm honestly worrying about Vibrio getting way bigger than it is right now. Yeah, what is that right there? So we got some spooky Google Earth stuff going on. There's always weird, creepy stuff hidden. But this right here, that looks like an eyeball. That literally looks like something's eye. I think it is. I think it is. And it's hidden in Antarctica. That's the craziest part. Of course, that's where it'd be. By the way, it's like hundreds of feet. Let's go to the Amazon rainforest real quick. Why is there just a giant skull right beside the Amazon River? And even crazier, you can go there yourself, by the way. What species is that skull? Because I know one thing, and only one thing, that looks like that. And I know one thing that a whole bunch of ancient tribes modeled themselves after with skull binding to make themselves look like this. You know, they were modeling themselves after their gods, you know? And the crazy part is, speaking about those ancient tribes that model themselves after their gods, who do you think did this? Most of the Amazon rainforest is remote, and there's still a whole bunch of tribes living in the Amazon rainforest. Pretty weird, right? They must have had some kind of help.